Have you ever felt a sudden chill down your spine? Or seen something move out of the corner of your eye when no one else was around? We've all heard at least one ghost story. But what if those tales aren't just fiction? Believe it or not, nearly half of all Americans believe in ghosts. And here's the chilling part. 1 in 5 say they've actually encountered one. That's not a fringe belief. That's millions of people. But what are ghosts really? Are they the restless souls of the dead? Or is something else going on? Today, we're diving deep into the unknown, not through seances or ghost hunts, but through science. What causes that eerie feeling when you're alone in a dark room? Could that shadowy figure be a trick of the mind, or something far more disturbing? And let's not forget the darkest theory of them all: demons. Some say they don't just haunt, they attack. Are those scratches on your back really just from sleep? Let's explore 10 spine-tingling theories that blend science with the supernatural. You might never look at the dark the same way again. So if you're brave enough to face the unknown, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysterious and the unexplained. Because this is just the beginning. Number 1. Power of suggestion. Could ghost sightings be planted in our minds without us even realizing it? The power of suggestion is a fascinating psychological tool, long studied in various contexts. But only recently have researchers begun to explore how it might explain paranormal encounters. In 2003, psychologist Richard Wiseman ran 2 eerie experiments for the British Journal of Psychology. In the first, a fake medium conducted a séance and subtly implied that a table had moved, when in reality it hadn't budged. Yet afterward, about 1/3 of the participants claimed they saw the table move. Interestingly, believers in the paranormal were far more likely to report such false experiences than skeptics. In follow-up séances, this trend continued, but with a twist. Believers only accepted the medium's suggestions when they aligned with their existing beliefs. If a claim conflicted with what they thought ghosts could or couldn't do, they were no more suggestible than skeptics. In the end, around 20% of all participants believed they had genuinely witnessed something paranormal, even though it was all staged. So, were they manipulated? Or were their memories simply rewritten? Whether due to belief, suggestion, or subtle cues from the environment, the mind filled in the blanks and created its own haunting. Number 2. Unprocessed trauma. What if the ghosts we see aren't really ghosts at all, but echoes of our own pain? Psychiatrist Dr. Lenore Ter studied 88 patients over a decade and uncovered a chilling pattern. Many people who reported seeing ghosts had one thing in common: deep, unresolved trauma. These weren't just fleeting feelings. PTSD sufferers described vivid hallucinations. They heard voices, saw figures, felt invisible touches, and even sensed smells associated with their trauma. Children who survived animal attacks claimed they were haunted by animal spirits. Others reported ghostly apparitions tied directly to past abuse, violence, or life-threatening events. But here's the kicker. These ghostly experiences weren't supernatural. They were psychological projections, shaped by the brain trying to make sense of trauma it couldn't fully process. Sometimes the trauma came from sudden events like car accidents. Other times, it stemmed from long-term emotional or physical abuse. In both cases, the mind, unable or unwilling to face the horror head-on, projected those emotions outward as phantoms, shadows, and spirits. In fact, some trauma survivors even believed they had developed psychic abilities, a side effect of the brain reaching for meaning in chaos. But often, once they began to face and process their trauma, the hauntings stopped. So, are those apparitions really spirits of the dead? Or is it your subconscious, screaming for help, wearing a ghost's face? Let me know your thought in the comments section below. Number 3. Have you ever woken up and felt completely frozen, unable to move, unable to scream, while something unseen lurked nearby? You weren't dreaming, or were you? One of the most widely accepted scientific explanations for ghostly encounters is something far more common and far more terrifying than you might think: sleep paralysis. Dr. Baland Jalal, a leading neuroscientist at the University of Cambridge, describes it chillingly. It's like dreaming with your eyes open. During REM sleep, when our brains are most active and our dreams the most vivid, our bodies go into lockdown. Literally. Your muscles become temporarily paralyzed, likely to stop you from acting out your dreams. But sometimes, your mind wakes up before your body does. The result? A nightmarish limbo where reality blurs with hallucination. People report seeing dark figures looming over them, feeling a crushing weight on their chest, even experiencing sharp, burning scratches, commonly blamed on demons. But here's the twist. None of it is actually happening. Your brain is awake, but still trapped in a dream, and it feels incredibly real. So next time you feel a presence in the room or wake up frozen in fear, it might not be a ghost. It might just be your brain, playing its cruelest trick. What do you think? Let's discuss in the comment. Number 4. Low-frequency sounds. What if the feeling of being watched, the sudden chill, or that overwhelming sense of dread wasn't a ghost at all, but a sound you can't even hear? Enter the world of infrasound, extremely low-frequency sound waves below the threshold of human hearing, typically under 20 Hz. While our ears might not detect them, our bodies absolutely do. These invisible vibrations can cause everything from nausea and chills to full-blown feelings of terror and panic. Some scientists call it the fear frequency, and it might be behind more ghost stories than we realize. Take, for instance, the 14th century cellar at Coventry University. Staff swore it was haunted. Strange sensations, ghostly sightings, the works. That is, until lecturer Vic Tandy brought in instruments and discovered unusually high levels of infrasound. Once the source of the vibrations was eliminated, the ghostly activity gone. And while ghost hunters often rely on EMF readers, these devices are notoriously unreliable, prone to interference from everyday electronics. But the idea that energy in the environment can alter human perception? That's where infrasound comes in. So next time you get goosebumps in an old building or feel like something unseen is nearby, it might not be a spirit. It might just be sound messing with your senses. Number 5. One mysterious planet. What if some of the world's most legendary ghost stories weren't supernatural at all, but geological? Take the mysterious Oracle of Delphi. In ancient Greece, pilgrims traveled from across the known world to hear the Pythia, a high priestess said to channel gods and spirits, speak prophecies in a trance-like state. She was revered, feared, and thought to be communing with the divine. But modern science has a different take. It probably wasn't magic. It was methane. Geologists from Wesleyan University discovered that hydrocarbon gases like ethane, methane, and ethylene leaked from the bituminous limestone beneath Delphi. These gases likely seeped into the temple, inducing altered states of consciousness. The result? Visions, voices, and hallucinations that felt very real, just not supernatural. This isn't an isolated case. Earth is full of strange natural phenomena that can mimic hauntings. In centuries past, people lived with leaky furnaces, mercury-laced medicines, and flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows. No wonder they saw ghosts. So while we may not be inhaling prophecy-inducing fumes today, many ancient hauntings were probably the earth itself, playing tricks on the human mind. And over time, those stories morphed into the spine-chilling legends we pass down today. Number 6. Mold and fungus. Let's be honest. When you step into a crumbling hospital or an old abandoned house, you're already primed to expect ghosts. But what if the real threat isn't supernatural? It's airborne? Forget EMFs and shadowy figures. Let's talk about black mold, asbestos, and even rye ergot, a toxic fungus once responsible for hallucinations in medieval times. These substances thrive in the damp basements, decaying walls, and sealed-up rooms of so-called haunted locations. And they might be behind many of the ghostly encounters we hear about. According to Associate Professor Shane Rogers of Civil and Environmental Engineering, many hauntings are associated with structures that are prime environments to harbor molds or other indoor air quality problems. In other words, the chills, dizziness, choking sensations, and sudden sickness people experience in these haunted spots, they're not the touch of a demon. They're likely your body reacting to toxic air. This theory even explains the dramatic moments seen in ghost hunting shows, when someone suddenly falls ill or flees a room in panic, only to feel fine once they're outside. Sound familiar? Sorry to burst your bubble, but it's probably not a demon. It's just your body telling you to get out and get fresh air. Number 7. Mind-body disconnect. Ever felt like someone or something was standing right behind you? You turn around. Nothing's there. But the feeling lingers. This unsettling sensation may not be paranormal at all. It might just be your brain betraying you. According to neuroscientists, what we interpret as a ghostly presence could be a glitch in how the brain processes self-awareness and spatial orientation. When your brain miscalculates your body's position in space, it can create a sort of phantom body, one that doesn't feel like you, but rather someone else. To test this theory, a group of Swiss researchers devised an experiment straight out of a sci-fi thriller. They studied patients with neurological disorders who reported ghost encounters. Brain scans revealed abnormal activity in 3 key areas: self-awareness, motor control, and spatial perception. Then, they took healthy volunteers, blindfolded them, and connected them to a robotic system. One robot in front followed their hand movements. A second, hidden robot behind them mimicked those same movements, lightly tracing patterns on their backs. When both robots moved in perfect sync, nothing strange happened. But when the back robot lagged just a few seconds behind, creating a mismatch in spatial and sensory feedback, things got weird. Within minutes, participants began reporting the presence of someone else in the room. Some felt watched. Some were convinced a ghost was touching them. A few became so disturbed, they stopped the experiment entirely. They weren't hallucinating. Their minds were simply struggling to define me versus not me. And that confusion was so strong, it felt like a haunting. So, the next time you feel a presence in an empty room, it may not be a spirit. It may just be your brain casting a shadow of yourself. Don't forget to share your thought about it in the comment. Number 8. Energy displacement. What if I told you one of the most famous scientific minds in history, Albert Einstein, might have left the door open for the existence of ghosts? Paranormal researcher John Kachuba thinks so. In his book, Ghost Hunters, he points out that Einstein proved a fundamental law of physics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So, the question is, what happens to the energy in our bodies when we die? Kachuba wonders, could that transformation be what we call a ghost? After all, the human body runs on electricity. Could that lingering energy released at death become something visible, tangible? That's the theory many ghost hunters lean into when they use EMF meters and thermal cameras, tools designed to detect energy shifts in the environment. But science has a different take. Yes, energy doesn't vanish, but it doesn't turn into a spectral figure either. When we die, our energy is released as heat and eventually absorbed by the environment. Animals, insects, plants, they all complete this cycle. Even cremation releases energy as heat and light. If human energy truly lingered as conscious spirits, we'd be dodging ghost cows in fields and phantom pine trees in forests. But we're not. So while the theory sounds poetic, and Einstein's law still holds true, the cold, scientific reality is this. We don't become ghosts. We become compost. Number 9. Pareidolia. Ever seen a face in the clouds? Or the Virgin Mary on a piece of toast? That's not divine intervention, it's pareidolia, and it might also explain why you think you saw a ghost. Pareidolia is a completely normal brain function, an evolutionary survival tool, actually. Early humans developed it to help detect threats hiding in plain sight. Spotting faces or figures in the shadows could mean the difference between life and death. But today, that same instinct can trick us. According to scientist and author Carl Sagan, our brains are wired to find patterns, even when none exist. In his book, The Demon-Haunted World, he argued that this is a major reason people see ghostly figures, mysterious lights, or phantoms in foggy fields and abandoned buildings. You're not seeing nothing. Your brain is just interpreting random shapes, shadows, and flickers of light, then filling in the blanks with something that feels familiar. Like a person. Or worse, a presence. That eerie figure standing in the hallway? The silhouette in the corner of your eye? It could be your brain, doing what it's always done, trying to protect you. But in the process, it might just scare you to death. Number 10. Positive and negative ions. It might sound like something out of Ghostbusters, but hear me out. This one actually involves real physics. Let's talk about ions, those invisible electrically charged particles floating around in our atmosphere. A negative ion is just an atom with an extra electron. A positive ion has one fewer. But here's where things get interesting. Some paranormal investigators believe that ghosts disrupt ion balance, or even feed on ion energy, to manifest themselves in our world. Sounds wild, right? But here's the thing. Ion meters are notoriously unreliable. Ghost hunters might swear by them, but natural phenomena like weather patterns, solar radiation, and even radon gas can throw off readings. Still, there is a scientific link worth exploring. Studies show that negative ions, the kind you get after a thunderstorm or near a waterfall, can calm our nerves, improve mood, and even boost energy. On the flip side, positive ions have been associated with headaches, fatigue, and nausea. So what happens when someone enters an old, poorly ventilated house, possibly with mold, poor airflow, or even underground radon exposure? They might feel sick, tense, uncomfortable, and when those feelings hit, it's not hard for the mind to jump to the paranormal. In other words, maybe it's not a spirit disturbing the air. Maybe it's the air disturbing you. So, maybe ghosts aren't spirits of the dead, but tricks of the living brain, fueled by trauma, shadows, toxic air, and low frequencies we can't even hear. Science doesn't take the mystery away. It reveals just how strange and powerful our minds, bodies, and environments really are. The next time you feel a chill or see something in the corner of your eye, ask yourself, was it a ghost or was it just you? If this gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more contents like this.